Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we are starting a brand new series to the channel, and it's going to be called Mod Car Reviews for Assetto Corsa. Now, if you don't know, Race Department has some 12,000 mods for Assetto Corsa, but not all of them are cars, and there's huge databases of cars all across the internet. And so in this series, we're going to be taking a look at some of my favorites, and we're going to be analyzing them, talking a little bit about their history, and then, of course, putting them on a track and seeing which ones perform the best. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Now, just one more thing before we get into this video, I would like to say I may be a little biased towards the TT because I did own one. I owned the 225 horsepower model with a 6-speed manual. It was probably the best car I ever owned. It was fantastic, loved it. Unfortunately, I had to sell it because the maintenance was ridiculous, as any Audi is, but it was a great car. Just wanted to let you guys know that, just in case I might seem a little bit biased. So the first car we're going to be talking about in this series is the Audi TTR DTM. Now, a little bit of history and background on this car. When this car drove in the 2002 season of DTM, it won 9 out of 10 podiums in all of the rounds. This car in particular was driven by Laurent Alio, and this car was only rivaled by the CLK DTM car, which is a Mercedes and a very, very prominent race car. So to say that this car was rivaling it is actually something pretty impressive, and in fact, it beat it, which is equally, if not more impressive. This car uses the DTM V8, which has 455 horsepower and about 375 foot-pounds of torque. So it's not too crazy of a motor, but with the aero setup on this car and just the chassis of this car, it feels really, really good, and it feels really, really at home. So that's going to be all for history, but now let's get into my initial thoughts. Now, my initial thoughts of this car are that it's very, very easy to drive, and that's mostly due to the all-wheel drive system. Now, it's not the same Quattro system that's in the TT from the factory. That uses a Haldex differential. This is the same all-wheel drive system from the Quattro from like the A4 or something along that lines, where it has proper mechanical all-wheel drive instead of like a clutch system. So it feels very, very good because it's all-wheel drive all the time. And it makes it incredibly easy to drive in the corners. The brakes are forgiving, but they're really, really tough to use, really tough to get used to. That was my initial thought, at least, just because they are pretty powerful for such a light and powerful car, and you wouldn't really expect them, so you can kind of romp on them at first, but then they lock up really, really quick after that, and so that's a little tricky to get used to say the least. And my final initial thought that I had on this car was that it's super easy to get down the power, and once again, that's due to the all-wheel drive system. I can give all the credit to that, but it made it super easy to get out of the corners with a decent amount of speed, just downshift, and then get right on the gas. It was very, very pleasant, and it was very good to drive for my initial couple laps. Now, after driving this car a little more, I had a couple other thoughts that I feel like I should add to this. Add to this list. So the first thing I noticed after driving it for a little while is it actually gets really, really hard to nail the braking point once you're getting to the point where you're comfortable with the car and you want to push it a little more. It becomes really hard to get that point down because, like I said before, the brakes are really powerful for such a light car, and I mean, albeit not that fast, but pretty light and quick car. But I think part of that also comes down to you feel like you're moving a lot faster than you actually are. I mean, at tops you're probably only going like 200 kph, which I mean it's still a lot, but it feels a lot faster than that. It feels like you're going 250, 300. But I mean, that just made it a little tricky for me when nailing the braking points. You can see in my laps I locked up a couple times because I either got on the brakes too late or I broke too early and I tried to lift off, but it was too late, something like that. But it did make it a little more difficult to drive further down the line. Another thing I found out is while the all-wheel drive system is very, very good, the car did get a little slidey if I became too ambitious with it and tried to get on the power a little too soon or tried to carry some power through the corners. It would definitely spin out, and it'll definitely let you know that you're doing something wrong, and I know that's not proper driving technique, so that's probably why it got a little slidey on me, but I mean, luckily I was able to recover. It was nothing too severe. It's just something I wanted to point out if you are looking to get into this car. And the final thing I'd like to point out is that it has loads and loads of downforce. Like, even on the straightaways, you can feel the car sinking. You can feel it getting a little sluggish because of all of that aero grip. In the corners, if you're pushing it, you can really feel it, and it's just a great feeling. Overall, it's really strong performance from this car, and I'm really happy that this is the first car that I decided to review. Now, let's go over the lap time for this. Since I don't have any data, I'm not going to be putting a spreadsheet up on the screen, but eventually as I get more and more data, I will be putting a spreadsheet up on the screen for you guys. But I'm going to be testing all of these cars on the Red Bull Ring, or Austria, the same place the Austria Grand Prix is, and it's one of my favorite tracks. I think it's a very well balanced track. It's got a decent amount of straightaway, it's got some good corners, some good braking zones, so it's definitely a really good track, I think, and a very even playing ground to test these cars, as if I were to do like Monza or something where it's all about straight line speed. So for a baseline, this car did a 133.871, which I feel like is pretty good considering an F1 car will do about a 110 or a 109. So I would say this is a pretty good performance from this car considering it's a DTM car, but overall, very, very strong performance. I'm glad that it did so well. So that's going to be all for this video on the Audi TTR DTM. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did enjoy, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want more videos like this, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to suggest any cars for this type of video, be sure to send me a link via my email, or you can find me on social media and links down below, or you can just comment it, and I look at all the comments, so I mean, just comment it and I will definitely see it. So yeah, with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.